Welcome back to the Fit 40 podcast, where we simplify exercise and nutrition for busy parents 40 plus so they can improve their health and feel amazing. I'm your host, Brian Fitzsimmons, certified personal trainer and nutrition coach for people over 40 since 2015. And today we have an awesome topic. We're going to talk about why people lose weight when they visit Europe, because I just did that. So I figured, hey, why not talk about it? Because when I got home, I noticed that I was definitely a few pounds lighter. I felt a little bit better. And we're going to talk about why that happens. Now, before we dive in, make sure that you are following or you are subscribed wherever you're watching or listening so that way you don't miss another episode. Now, let's get into it. Why do we lose weight in Europe when we travel there from the US? Now, the first thing people will say is, well, the food's different. And we're really leaning into that chemical side of things. Because if we're being totally honest, it is harder for certain ingredients to get approved in the EU versus in the US. And rough estimates show that the EU only allows for about 300 additives, while in the US it's over 3,000. And that's due to different policies and everything. And this leads people to think, oh, these ingredients are making me fat. These things are messing up my metabolism, and it's the reason that I gain weight when I'm at home, when that's not the case. Okay. When you store fat, it comes from calories. You can't get around that fact that it does come from calories. So there's no direct cause for fat gain when it comes to chemicals, US versus Europe. But when it comes to those ingredients that are irritants, they can affect the calorie burn side of the equation. And when you have these irritants, they usually come in the form of super highly processed foods, which can also come with a lot of calories. So it's not one or the other necessarily. It's both working in tandem to make things harder on the home front. So when I say these irritants can affect it, what I mean is, number one, like when you have an irritant in your body, and let's say for me, I'm still trying to figure out exactly what it is. It's not gluten because my own antibodies came up negative when it came to the test that they give you to see if you're gluten intolerant or celiac. And I don't have that. So we got to dig a little bit deeper and figure out exactly what it is. So I've actually been utilizing ChatGPT as like an irritant journal to say, hey, this is what's setting me off. Let me know what are the consistencies. What should I look for? And when you have those things in your diet and you know this sets me off, or maybe you don't even know, but you know as soon as you're done eating it, you're like, ooh, that just didn't feel right. Number one, your energy is affected because it will affect things in your body that will slow you down, and it will make it easier to not move as much. And that's the key thing, is the fact that it affects your activity. It affects your energy levels, because if you have a stomach ache, you're not going to go on that long hike. You're not going to want to walk all the way through town and visit all of these shops. You're going to want to go home and get I guess they're called digestives over there, or like get something to settle your stomach and sit around and wait for it to pass. That is the real thing that can tend to happen when it comes to being at home. We have these things in our environment, in our bodies, that are making it harder for us to do the things we want to do because we just don't have the energy to do it. We don't feel as light. We just feel bloated all the time. But that can be used when we're at home. Just do your due diligence, like me, for example, with the Chat GPT, and figure out what are these irritants and get them out of the equation if you can. And then that way you can have the best of both worlds, and you don't have to go to Europe just to lose some weight. All right. But I want to circle back to the movement thing, because that is really the big reason that a lot of people do end up losing some weight, losing some inches while they are overseas. And that's because they move more, because Europe in general is much more walking friendly. It has a lot more public transportation use. So like, for example, when I was in Ireland, the the bus system in Dublin was used way more than a lot of the cars. Even though there were a lot of cars, it wasn't to the same degree as we might see in the US, for example. And other countries are even better at this, like Sweden, Norway, and that region, Switzerland, are much better known for their public transportation systems and people walking a lot more frequently. And along with that, just you being there, you're doing things that involve walking. Like maybe you're not taking public transportation, you rented a car or whatever, but you're still, like for us, we were still sightseeing. The whole point was, we're going to go to this castle, which we're not even thinking about, but we're racking up thousands and thousands of steps. Okay. And then when you're walking around town and you're visiting these shops, like my fiance had her mind set on finding a gold bracelet to see if she could find one at any of these shops. We ended up visiting like 10, 15 shops. And again, racking up tons of steps. And people really discount steps and walking, but it is a lot of activity, a lot of burned calories. And another thing too that people don't always think about, bar hopping. Like when we were in Dublin and we were bouncing bar to bar, we were in Galway and we were hopping around, like walking all over the place. That's a lot of steps. Even though you're consuming a lot of alcohol with it, you're still moving a lot. And while we're on the topic of alcohol, I had this a little bit further down the list. But when it comes to the alcoholic environment over in Europe, it's a lot different than in the US because it's a lot less binge style. I know in the US, there's this culture of if we're drinking. All right. And then when you go into Europe and certain countries over there, it's just more chill. It's more laid back. It's like, yeah, we're sharing a pint, but we're not like playing drinking games, trying to get messed up as fast as we possibly can. We're not doing these extra things like all these shots and these things to try and get to that inebriated level because we're trying to de-stress. It's no, this is just part of the meal. This is just part of dinner where we have a pint and then we sit around and talk and we're just drinking a little bit. So even though you are drinking, you're drinking like maybe 3 or 4 on a heavier night, I guess you could call it, as opposed to when you're back at home and we're having 6, 7, 8, 9 potential drinks every single week compared to the 3 or 4 that you shared when you were at dinner time. And that has a lot of carryover. And the other thing too, when it comes to the meals in particular, is that like when it came to our trip, it didn't revolve around food. A lot of people do go on these trips with like the mindset of, I'm going to be in this other country. I'm not going to have access to these other foods. So I'm going to eat everything I possibly can. And then they make themselves sick. They eat a crap ton of calories and they come home so much heavier and they wonder why. So that's another thing too you want to figure out is, okay, is this like a food trip or do we have some good spots that we're going to hit along the way? And if you are those types of people, like for us, we only really planned lunch and dinner. So those were the only solid meals. And then we had something like little tiny in the morning. So now we have our meals controlled for as far as portion sizes go or calories in total, because we only have these really 2 solid meals where it's going to be really hard to overeat in those 2 instances. And we're also not snacking along the way, which helps a lot with the whole calorie control aspect. And with those meals, they're expected to be longer. Over in Europe, I know when I was in Ireland, it was very much expected for you to just hang out and chill. They're not turning tables over there like in the US, where you have some restaurants that are just like getting you in, getting you out, and trying to turn as many tables as they can so they can increase their profits. Over there, it's much more, hey, you're locked in for a few hours, enjoy your time, let me know if you need anything. And when you do that, you tend to eat slower. You tend to drink slower. You tend to be a little bit more social because it's not this quick little in and out thing. It's, oh, I'm here to experience this. I'm here to have a good time with the people I'm with. And along with that, on vacation, sometimes you have access to people in your life that you normally don't have that type of access to, like your significant other who's possibly always working, or your brother, sister, mom, dad, who are usually working or they're away and you can just never get a hold of them. You would now have the opportunity to just sit and be with them. You can be present for the first time in a long time. And along with that comes a little bit of stress management. I guess stress reduction is a better way to put it, because now you can have these conversations that you haven't had in a long time, maybe hash some stuff out. I know me, my fiance, my brother, and my soon to be sister-in-law, because my brother got engaged while we were over there. We had some heart to hearts at Temple Bar. And I'm like, this is great because we don't normally get to talk like this, but you get some pints in you, you have a good meal, you're in a fun environment, and it just kind of takes its turns, but you get to talk about things that you really want to talk about. So this stuff plays into the calorie equation and reducing the overall calorie intake, which will allow us to potentially lose body fat, body weight, and be in a better place compared to when we are at home. And along with that, I want to make sure I hit all my points here. Okay, there's a lot less exposure to snacks. Now, when we're at home, whether we're working in our home office or maybe we're at our regular office and there's snacks galore, there's just that one person who always brings stuff in, or you're always going to your pantry for that one thing you can't stop buying, and you're constantly just mindlessly eating. Now, you don't feel like you're consuming that many calories, but doing that mindlessly, even though you're not acknowledging them, they still matter. Those calories all add up. And when you're over there, there's a whole lot less of that. And there's less options that are 24/7 always available. I'll admit, Ireland definitely had convenience stores like Circle K, for example. I had no idea I would ever go to the same convenience store in Greenville, North Carolina, that I did in County Meath, Ireland, in Virginia, Ireland. I had no idea I would go to the same convenience store, but here we are. Anyway, that was probably the only 24/7 food option, and they shut down too. They weren't even 24/7, whereas some of the places in the US never shut down. You always have the ability late night to go and get something, which is another thing too that we want to think about, which is the fact that when it comes to the types of food over there, it's more restaurants than actual convenience stores and fast food. Because yes, there are convenience stores, yes, there are fast food, but the amounts are so different. There's a McDonald's, a Burger King, a Starbucks on every corner in the US. But over there, it's kind of hard to find them, like when you're not in, say, Dublin, for example. Like when you're out in the country, when you're exploring, it's all just mom and pop restaurants. That's it. And when you go to a restaurant, you get real food. They're cooking for you. They're not just heating up whatever that corporation sent them that week. They're not doing these methods of cooking that take away a ton of nutrients and leave you feeling starving, even though you just consumed a crap ton of calories. So the script is flipped in that regard. And along with, I keep saying along with that, okay, the portions overall are just smaller. Like that's probably the biggest thing that when it comes to food environment, we want to think about norms. Our norms in the US are so skewed because we expect a normal portion to be something that's potentially 2,000 calories on a plate. And our eyes just get used to that. When we see something less than that, we feel like we get cheated. We feel like it's never going to be enough, even though when you go over there and you get these whole food sourced meals that you're getting cooked for you at these restaurants, and you eat a normal sized portion, when you're done, you're full, but you're like, that was like just enough. We're not getting stuffed, we're getting satisfied. And that's another thing to bring back from an area of the world like that can be super helpful, which is chase satisfied, not stuffed. Or if you want to go even further, I guess that would be east of Europe, to somewhere like Japan, they have a concept where it's like 80% full. You don't eat to the point where you're 100%, you eat to the point where you're 80%. And then you sit on it and let that 10, 15 minutes of digestion fill in that last 20%. And then if you've done that and you're still hungry, have a little bit more, honor those hunger cues, but it's got to be real food. And that's the real issue when it comes to things like intuitive eating, for example. You can't intuitively eat ultra high processed foods. It's just not possible because you're not getting the fiber that comes with carbohydrates. You're not getting these healthy fats that actually leave you feeling better, not worse. You're not getting all this protein that allows your body to understand, hey, my stomach is filling up with these quality foods, and those quality foods that also come with less calories. So they're not pushing it to the limit where you're potentially gaining body fat. Okay. That allows you to intuitively say, I feel full, and it matches the amount of calories you're consuming. So this all to say that there's nothing special about Europe. It's just that there's these tiny little things here and there that we need to implement over here so we can get back to a better place. Okay, it's not about chasing the chemicals and all this. It's about figuring out what exactly you need to, number one, avoid. So if you do have irritants that do set you off, I know, like I said, for me, it's something in carbs. Like over there, I could have Guinness, no problem. Over here, Guinness wrecks my stomach. So it's probably a preservative, but I got to do my due diligence and figure that out and not just say all these chemicals are bad. No, just figure out what's best for you and then implement the stuff that I talked about. Like, let's move more. Let's get our step counts up. Let's take public transportation if it's possible, or let's take trips into town where you're like going around it to the shops, and instead of driving parking lot to parking lot, walk around, get a lot of steps in. And when it comes to your meals, plan them out. Don't just mindlessly snack throughout the day. Say, you know what? I'm going to have this for breakfast, this for lunch, this for dinner. Or even if you don't know what you're going to have, say, I'm going to have it at this time, this time, this time, based on my day. And that'll allow you to be in such a better place. Oh, and let's not forget the whole drinking thing too. If you do enjoy a pint, if you do enjoy a glass of wine, do it in a way where it's not binge style. Like, do it in a way that enhances your meal if it pairs with something you're eating. Do it in a way that allows you to have great conversation with friends where you can just chill on it, and it's part of the thing, but it's not the entire reason that you're there. You're not there to get sloshed. You're there to just, hey, have a drink or two and talk with your friends or family. And when we can implement this stuff, it's going to make such a big difference. It can be an absolute game changer. So I hope that you found this helpful. If you have any questions, always feel free to reach out. And if you want to take that next step, I got a few things for you. Number one is, if you want some free 20-minute workouts you could do from your home. Like, let's say you don't have the ability to go out and walk all over town because maybe your town doesn't allow for that. Still get at least 20 minutes in where you're doing some sort of strength training. This is for you. Toned in 20 workouts. They're 20 minutes you could do in 20 minutes or less, and you can do it with dumbbells, bands, or body weight, whatever you have access to. And if you want to take that next step and just say, hey, listen, I really do need to work out, and those workouts would be great, but I just can't get myself to do them. That's what coaching is for. So if you're interested in coaching, you want to see if it's right for you. And just so you know, I have a cool, awesome program right around the corner for September. And I'll let you guys know. It's going to be called the First Five. Basically, it's a program designed to get that first 5 pounds off and build momentum and get you going in the right direction. So if you want to be first up for that, and you want to see if coaching is potentially the right fit for you, then go ahead and click that link down below, as well as that Toned in 21. If you want the workouts down there, both links are down there. Click away on whatever's best for you, and I will see you for the next episode. But until then, go kick some ass. Bye-bye.